big one for me was personally was that my parents were part of trafficking me.
Mm.
And so when that was named for me,
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, no, that's that's not sorry, that's not my story.
Mm.
Um, and then Jesus just, as he does, you know, gently invites. And I had one of the worst triggered states I had ever experienced in my married life that told me all the signs that absolutely I had been trapped. So, yes, and I've found because I went through phases, I'm like, okay, what else is not true in my life? I want to know it all right now. I don't I don't want to deal with anything blindsiding me. So I want to know it all right now. And I spent, I don't know, months at least just frustrated with God of going, why are you not giving me?
Mm.
I see there's more pieces here and more that I don't know is truth. Why are you withholding it from me? And I've been on this journey since 2018. So I have some time to look back on and realize that in his mercy and his grace, he's like, oh, daughter, you can't handle it all at once. Nor do I expect you to handle it all at once.
Well, and that's such a true statement that
Mhm.
our stories are like layers of an onion.
Mhm.
And there's something of brutality when there's this sense of we don't we don't know we're being brutal to ourselves, but like I want to know it all now, and because we don't know, again, the statement of what we don't know. So he is kind in those ways of unfolding. It might not feel kind when flashbacks come, um, but when he begins to gently unfold the narrative so that we can see it for what it is like the layers of onion that are
Mhm.
being unfolded one layer at a time. And so all he asks is that we will you be faithful to what you see in this particular layer. A lot of times when I work with people, I kind of think of myself as their life being pieces of a puzzle.
Mhm.
And so how do I go? I love putting puzzles together. So how do I go about putting a puzzle together, right? You look, at least for me, I look for the edge pieces. So I know the context of what I'm dealing with. What is this picture? What does this picture look like? And then I start focusing on particular, particular pieces of the puzzle. And so it feels like as people bring in different stories of their lives, my responsibility, their task is to begin to help them find out where that piece goes in the larger frame of their puzzle. And the puzzle and there's some pieces here that are missing that we don't have yet. So as we continue to work on what we do have, God oftentimes and usually is faithful to bring the other pieces that we don't have yet.
And it makes me think about what you said, Linda, that God reveals. Um, I mean, I believe there's good psychologists that help people. I believe there's good counselors that help people that are not Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But with a story like mine, I don't, without the Holy Spirit, without the kindness of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, I don't know that I would got well. I don't know. There was so much memory that was erased and it was lost. And there was times that he truly supernaturally uh, provided in detail. There was many times that he did that in ways that it would take me a while to sit here and name them all. And without his supernatural presence and healing and revelation and truth, uh, I don't believe I would have gotten well.
TJ, you mentioned two things a part of your healing journey. One is amnesia, traumatic amnesia, where your memories you didn't have memory of. And then the other one was body memories. Could you tell us a little more about those?
Mm, mm, I know Linda can speak to the amnesia part. I think she sees it a lot. I had the basic survivors amnesia, where our mind naturally wants to move away from that which is traumatic.
Mhm.
So I had that. I had people have heard me say that I was raised by a witch and a pedophile. And the more that I learn about witchcraft is very good at building amnesic walls and deceptive walls. So I had those two kinds. I also had the type of amnesia that comes from mind control, government programming, where the mind was intentionally erased. So those are the ones that I am familiar with. Um, so when I read "The Body Keeps the Score" by Dr. Vander Kolk,
Yes.
yeah, it began to give me so much more context for, okay, not everything was completely erased, that my body really, really does remember. And it remembered in a variety of ways. I had the female organ problems. I had chronic fatigue. I had, um, so many ailments that it's no doctor could have helped me. My body was just riddled with the trauma that it had endured. My immune system was shot. Um, so yeah, my body had kept the score well of all that had happened to me.
Linda, do you have some nuggets, any other things to add about body memory or amnesia, traumatic amnesia?
Our bodies and our minds are just absolutely amazing. How God created us is just, it's a marvel when you think about our minds and the capacity that we have. So our memories are stored not necessarily as snapshots. Sometimes there'll be details. In other words, there's a lot of research that's been done about, if somebody was given a picture of a vase of flowers and something else sitting on the table, then what would they remember, right? So they might get the fact that the vase was white and the flowers were red, but they wouldn't get that the flower was a tulip and not a rose. So our mind has this ability, which makes it even more convoluted, right? Has the ability, it won't necessarily snap a shot of it, but it will give you enough that you kind of know what's here. Which on the downside, I think a lot of people then struggle with, is this really the true memory? Right? So there can be a lot of pushback on memory because of those things. But I also think there's enough, our minds, when we're in traumatic situations, our mind has a capacity to literally carterize itself off. And so instead of the memory being in the whole of our brain, it literally gets parked, if you will, in a particular aspect of our brain or a part of our brain, right? And that sometimes that part gets put outside of space and time. So we don't have access to it. For example, when I was on staff with Campus Crusade for Christ, we raised our own financial support. And I would go back to visit my supporters every year, right? And so this one particular couple, they were two sisters who had never married. One had been a missionary in Ethiopia. The other one was a missionary in the local schools that were there. And so, I mean, we're talking about, they gave me widow's mite. So every time I would go to see them, I would want to make sure that I was giving something back to them. And so this particular day, they needed to go to the grocery store. They didn't drive, or the one that drove wasn't driving anymore. So that's what we did. We got groceries, came back, and their little house had this small stoop that I was standing on, holding the screen door open, standing back as far as I could to let them pass inside. As I was holding the screen door open, my hand began to literally scrape across the screen. That feeling is the specificity like none other, of literally the squares on the screen cutting into the flesh. And I thought, oh my gosh, I I know this feeling. Why do I know this feeling? So that was body memory. That was stored in my body, right? My body was saying, yoo-hoo, this feels familiar. I didn't have conscious memory of it, but my body knew. And then the next thought I had was, I feel like I feel like I've watched this being done to somebody. Again, feeling, not necessarily conscious memory of it. So I go home to my mom, and to, I don't know, her credit and chagrin all at the same time, I said, so here's the deal. This is what happened. Do you know anything about it? This is odd to me, because if it hadn't have happened to me, how would I have felt it so like it was happening in real time? And she goes, well, the truth of the matter is it did happen to you. And it's like, okay, what happened? Your sister got mad at you and she took your hand and ran it across the screen door. All right. So I watched something happen to somebody. She goes, yes, I took your sister's hand and did the same to her. And it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, mother, this day and age, you'd be taken to CPS, would be taken away from you. I mean, what were you thinking? And she goes, well, it was a day where the school of thought was Dr. Spock, that if your child did something that you didn't like, you did it back to them. So to this day, I do not have a snapshot of that scene. I don't have even, I have the essence of it. I have a knowing, but I don't have recall. And I've even had a conversation with my sister about it. She remembers it too. She actually remembers.
Mm.
I think it was so abhorrent to me. My mind put it outside of space and time. So memory is a very tricky thing, and it's elusive. And our mind is amazing in what it chooses to store and how it chooses to store it. So, and it's not the only thing that actually we have available to us. We also have cellular memory. That's what I was experiencing. And we have our knower that just knows. So there's many avenues, and sometimes God does bring it up in dreams. There'll be scenes that will be brought up in a dream, or there'll be scenes that will brought up be in the forefront of our mind. And it's like, this feels like it's real, but I don't have recall. Why does this feel so real? I mean, so even in that, it would be, will you be curious about the things that you are experiencing in your body, things that your flashes that you have in your head? Just don't write them off as, well, that was weird. I don't want to have that memory anymore. I just chalk it up as, it's like, no, please don't.
Well, that's what as you were telling that story, I was like, well, Linda, you're so good and curious to ask your mom and to pursue finding the answer. Like, even I don't know, if you were a young adult or at what age, young adult with Campus Crusade for Christ, but for there to be something within you and your curiosity, your natural curiosity, and be like, and for you to go to your mom and be like, is there something to this?
Mm.
That's amazing. And that's what, even as we were talking about earlier, not everybody does that. But our hope and our prayer is that more people do. And
Mhm.
that's, the work that we do is helping people in that process as they're getting cellular memories, body memories, as they're getting glimpses of memories that are bubbling to the surface, that there are safe people and places and people you can go to start that journey of, is there more to this? Is there more to my story that I'm experiencing that is in God's timing? It's time to dig into and to get answers to and to seek out, um, for our good and for his glory.
Mhm.
And I know that's our heart, um, the three of us, as we continue to learn and grow and help other people through their stories and their healing journeys and their healing paths.